We are talking about writing. We're both writers. Hello, Jen. Hello, Phyllis. So happy to see you all. Go ahead and pop in the chat what you're working on. I write science fiction and fantasy, and I love writing in series. And I have a new work in progress. Gala, what do you write? What are you working on?
I've always done either women's fiction or romance, and I'm transitioning into urban fantasy. At least I think it's urban fantasy. It's some kind of fantasy. I'm figuring it out, and it's been super fun. It's been really cool building the world and agonizing over it, but also having so much fun. Like I'm in chapter 15, which means like there's magic happening, and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Hi,
That's
Amy.
Hello. And so today we're going to talk about three accountability. Let me start again. Three accountability tips to help you get writing. And I have some tips, and Gala has some tips. If you have tips, we want to hear them. It's great to spread these tips around so we can all learn from each other. I also want to make sure we give a shout out to Gala's running a summer writing accountability class. Ha ha ha. You can see where we got our title from today. And so we'll be sure to have that link in the show notes, and I will grab it while we're working and put it in the chat as well. It starts this Saturday. It's 12 weeks. Can I say the price?
Yes,
Because
absolutely. Yeah.
it's such an amazing deal, $250 for 12 weeks, 1 hour on a Saturday morning, Pacific time, like 10 a.m., I think. Is that it?
9 a.m. 9 a.m.
9 a.m. Pacific, come together, learn, get your writing done. Gala is a great writing teacher, and you'll see some of that on display today. Gala works with me. I've been helping her build her business. We also co-teach in the Creative Entrepreneur Incubator Program, which we'll be talking about some other time. And I just want to shout that out. I don't offer my own classes anymore, but people hire me to be on their stages and fly me around the world, which is amazing. So Gala's got this great class. I highly recommend it. Check it out. And I'll grab the link for y'all in just a second. Gala, do you want to start off with your favorite or top of mind first accountability tip?
Mm-hmm. Yes, my first accountability tip is I call it saying what is it that you are doing out loud, and so that it's not just in your own head, because a lot of times what I find, if it's just in my head, I'm like, well, I didn't tell anybody, so like I'm just gonna, change it or whatever. It's just so much easier to go back on that goal, on that promise to yourself. But if you go and tell people, then they're even like majority of the people will not even remember about your goal. But somehow it creates this thing in my brain where, well, like, ooh, I sort of have told everybody about it. And I found that the further I personally push that public accountability, the more it motivates me. It is not a recipe for everybody. It is definitely, for some people, it could completely crush your creativity. So you need to try different accountability methods and see what works for you. This could not be it. But I'm running right now a series on my Instagram where I document every day as I write my urban fantasy novel, and I record myself every day, and I record the days that are like good days and bad days, and partially is to share with people like what writing looks like. It's because it's not all wonderful. It's challenging. But that has been a great thing for me. And that's why I tend to go and do writing sprints with other people, or I am usually part of like accountability groups. And I kind of jokingly say the summer program of 12 months, 12 weeks is a little bit of accountability for myself as well, because just having that check-in point every week and going and you're saying in the first class, hey, I'm doing this. This is my plan. And then you come back in a safe space. You can always reevaluate your goals, but just having that out loud, stating your goal, I don't know, it does something for my brain. How about you? That was a long one.
I love it. Well, I feel like it does fit into my tip that I call count community. I didn't, way back, gosh, now 28 years ago, when I decided, oh my God, they rejected me from journalism school. Now what am I going to do with my life? And I realized that what I really wanted more than anything, journalism really attracted me, and I had had some experience, was being a fiction writer. And the whole reason of going to like journalism school is to be in a community and learn from the teachers and be in a place that gives you deadlines and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, I need a group. I want to be a fiction writer. Let me go find a group. So I immediately found a group, started working on my first story. That group wasn't serious enough for me. So I found another group that was actually doing critique and rotating all the writers. And if you joined, you had to deliver pages. And it was exactly the kind of edge I needed. I needed to be kind of pushed along by that kind of thing. So a community that pushes me has always been a part of my life, whether it's a critique group, and I'm still in a critique group, it's a different group where they're like, they know, they don't say, Beth, where's your pages? But they're like, oh, no pages this time? But we all go through cycles and phases. But I know that it's a great opportunity, and I have an opportunity to turn in pages and get feedback. And just like you, being a writing teacher now for the last 20 years has also been an accountability. And I actually have one of my students who, when she was working on her first draft, she created her own meetup that met at the local cafe, and it was like what she needed. And so now as she's editing, we're like, how do we create that kind of co-working space for you inside of our community? So it's all about community, y'all. It really is. And it can be all kinds of things. Gala mentioned writing sprint groups. We have a writing sprint group. If you're on my list, you get invited to that every Sunday morning for an hour that one of my students runs for me, because everybody wants support around writing. I have a friend where we meet for coffee and we do co-working. Gal and I also do co-working on Zoom. I have a critique group. You do. And I wouldn't have thought doing the reels that you do is a form of, but you are also in community, right? You are talking to people. You are interacting. People can see what you're doing. And so it's like being in the public square doing your work. And it's really lovely. Let's see. Amy says, I'm already started talking about being in the Saturday class to make sure people are aware, and I am too. Awesome.
Yeah, Amy joined, so I'm super excited.
It's so great. Tell your friends. Woohoo. Yeah. You have how many spaces left in that class?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm gonna have to check on that, but
Okay.
there are spaces left.
There
There are
are
definitely
spaces left,
spaces
but
left.
it is limited in size.
Yeah,
So
yes, it is. It is a small group. Yeah, we want to make sure that we actually talk to each other and know each other's stories and kind of like that whole accountability. It's not a lecture or anything like that as a class. No. What you were talking about, what made me think, I also am part of several Discord groups where we also have accountability. Like they have the prompts. A Carl bot comes in and says, "Hey, how has your writing been going this week?" And buddy doubling. I think that's what you and I do. We co-work, we buddy double,
yes.
and a lot of times at the beginning, what we do, we sit down and we say, "Okay, like what are we going to do today? What are you doing?" And we don't. Most of the time, we don't actually work on the same thing. We work on completely different things, but you're going to say, okay, today during this hour, I'm working on this. I'm working on this. And then at the end, we pop in and I'm saying, like, oh, I actually finished this or didn't. And you did say the same thing.
Yeah.
So that goes back to that community part. And I also like joined a sales class, and it's kind of a sales cohort. This May that runs for 90 days. And there's also a weekly meeting. And there is like a little timeline where it's like, okay, in week one, you need to do this things, exercises. In week two, you need to do these exercises. And there is somebody accountable, and also have to send the stuff in and then receive the answers. So there is definitely the interaction, which again make me think about our a creative entrepreneur cohort that we run in the fall, which exactly is the same. That accountability is a huge part of it, because a lot of times I hear it from writers all the time. I do it myself. Like I collect internet advice and I collect craft books. It's kind of like my craft book TBR is probably as long as my fiction book TBR, because I'm like, oh, this is such a cool book. I'm going to totally go read it. It was like, oh, this is such a cool idea. I'm totally going to go do it. And then I just save it or file it, and I never actually do it. So having the space and the time set aside on the calendar, ideally with other people,
Yeah.
does something to my brain chemistry where I'm like, well, A, I paid for it. B, it's on the calendar. I guess I have to. Like
Yeah.
we're doing.
Yeah. I kind of see it creates a container a bounded container, like being in a playground. So it's a safe place to play, and it's dedicated to that thing. So let's talk about the next tip. My next tip is choose a doable, quantifiable session goal. And by quantifiable, there's all kinds of ways we can quantify our writing. The most obvious one, right, is word count. But maybe you're not wanting to do counting words. Maybe it's just time count, which is something I'm doing right now while I work on this first draft of my story. Is I am happy to just put down some words because it's like getting a squirrel. It's getting in there in between all of my other busy things. So I'm happy with some words, and I do count the words and the time. But first, I just care about the time. So really, it's those two, right? It's either words or it's time, or you. So that's for the quantifiable. Do you have something to say about? Because I do have stuff
Yeah.
related to the story, but that's my quantifiable focus.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
quantifiable things, again, I anybody who watches me or knows me, they know my little timer. So this is how I quantify.
Show.
Sorry,
It's
I
beeping.
have my visual timer, and my whole mantra is 20 minutes. So that's how I quantify it. I always put both like a minimum goal and a maximum goal. So I always have a quantifiable thing. I want to say, okay, this is the minimum that I want to accomplish. And I also say, but if I have time, I would like to accomplish that. So for my writing challenge in May, it was minimum of 20 minutes every day. And my maximum was ideal. I want to write a chapter a day. There were probably like only 3 days where I wrote a chapter a day, maybe like 2 days where I wrote more than a chapter a day, but majority of them I wrote less than a chapter, but more than 20 minutes. And I count the words after more for my own speed tracking because I'm trying to make sure, like, ooh, because it usually shows me if I'm struggling with something, if my writing speed slows down. But it's more like a scientist brain rather than, oh, I'm judging, oh, you only wrote this number of words. I'm way past that. But this helps. And also, the quantification could also be like, I write every day, or I write every weekend, or I write every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday evenings, right? That is also a quantifiable thing. So just setting that specific time, and I um, have this, which I teach, and we're going to start with this. I think I mentioned this one to you.
Yeah, read
It says,
aloud.
I will behavior at time in location. So everything is specific. So, for example, for me, I say I will write my first draft because for some of you, it could be edit my story, right? Or it could be plot my story because that is also a very important task at a time. And right now, I'm basically doing it mostly in the evenings before, after the kids are in bed. So I'm saying like at 8 to 10 p.m., depending on when the kids go to bed. In location, I write most of the time in my office, but I have on Thursdays that I write, for example, at the library because I go there before I work. And on Wednesdays, a lot of time I write at a coffee shop and I have that writing list. So, like on Wednesday, it's this, but time is different, location is different. But having this specificity, not saying like, oh, the vague, this is also to me a goal, kind of to a degree.
Yeah.
Um, and then my other thing about accountability, about like goals, is I ran a quarterly planning session, and it's open to everyone if you want to hop into that. And I always say pick 3 goals maximum, especially for longer times. And really, you're picking one main goal. Like, what do you really, really, really want to do? Like, for me, 20 minutes a day was the main goal. And then the second goal is, oh, I would also like to have a chapter. And then the final goal for me was, well, wouldn't it be lovely if I finished the entire novel in
Yeah.
the month of May? That was
Yeah.
kind of my third goal, but it was very unrealistic, right?
Yeah.
So having those in my brain also helped. So a lot of advice, but I urge you not to have too many things on your goals, on your to-do list, because it kind of like ends up you're not following any somehow because you have so many. At least that's how it's been for me. I do not know if that's how it is for you.
Yeah, that's and we have some comments happening in the chat. Just want to say Amy was acknowledging that she has so many craft books and how it's overwhelming, and she's a total collector. And Phyllis says, "Me too." And I don't know if I can show you my shelf of writing books. Oh wait, those are just my books. But these are like mostly writing books. Oh,
Yeah.
there's
Oh, Jim Friedman's one. Woo!
yeah, these are like all my writing books. Most of them. Some are in another room. So yes, Amy says guilty. Yes, collector here. And I love, I love how you do your 20-minute timed writing. I too have been for many, many years a proponent of 20-minute timed writing. There's something really amazing if you just invite yourself to write for 20 minutes, set the timer. I use the timer on my phone. I love that you have your own timer. Whatever gets you excited, use an egg timer. That's fabulous. So I also,
A
yeah,
Pomodoro timer on YouTube. I've used that for a long time when I just started before I had this timer. If you
yeah.
go on YouTube and say Pomodoro timer, it has different, the Pomodoro is sometime on, sometime off. So for example, 20 minutes on, 5 minutes off. So it has a built-in break. And you can find that are like 30 minutes on, 10 minutes off, 40 minutes on, 5 minutes off. You can find all sorts. And then you pick one and it runs for hours. So it
Yeah.
kind of prompts you, and it has usually nice atmospheric wordless music on it, but check that out as well.
That's great. Maybe folks have heard of this already, but I'm just going to put it in the chat. Pomodoro timer, right? Pomodoro. Okay, cool. Great. Let's move to our third tip. Sorry, where did I put my tips? There we go. Story goal. I really think it's important to have a story goal. Another way of saying that is focus. Have a focus. And it could be as broad as you want. Like I'm pantsing a story right now. So my story goal is I'm going to sit down and work on my story and I'm going to write the next bit that occurs to me. That's it. Because I'm totally pantsing it. It's really fabulous. I'm having such a great time. But normally where's my planning book? I usually, when I'm planning my novel, I follow my own plan in my book, Plan Your
I
Novel
love
Like
that book.
a Pro.
I love
Yeah.
that book.
It's partly organic. It's partly left-brained if you need that. I really I'm an organic writer. Oh, thank you. So when I am planning a story, I'm using this. When I'm writing, by the time I'm done with this book, I have a rough outline, kind of a paragraph by paragraph outline. I use that to write my story as a jumping off place. So there I have a focus. When I'm editing, I go into my edits, and I talk about this in my edit lab, Edit the Future Sci-Fi Fantasy Revision Lab that we run monthly. I have a very specific focus at any given moment, but it can be different every day. It could be, oh, I'm just rereading my book, or I'm looking at the opening of my scene, or I'm looking at this particular plot problem. Oh, I need to go do some research to shore up answer this question. Oh, today I want to just spend time answering this question so I could figure out how to redo this section. So I get very specific, but as you can tell just from my examples, it looks all kinds of ways. It could be the next beat, the next moment, the next scene, the next chapter, a specific backstory piece, a character piece, trying to come up with your character's turning point backstory that shapes who they are on page one of my favorite exercises to do, their story identity, their identity and beliefs, whatever. Of course, it's in my book. So many fabulous things to think about. So it's not only I recommend some kind of quantifiable session goal, but also having some kind of story goal, even if it's, let's see what happens next.
Yeah. Yeah. I call myself a plantser. I found that I have started as a complete pantser. Then I really tried to be a planner, and I firmly am somewhere in the middle of those two, and really depends on the story how far to one side or to the other I end up being. But the way I plan my story is, and I shared that with Amy, I write in Scrivener most of my work, and I basically have kind of like a template where I have the beats of the story which are about like every 5% of the story of what is supposed to happen in general in story structure. Has nothing to do specifically with this story, but just like in general, in normal, straightforward Western storytelling, right about here, these types of things are going to be happening. So I have that in my Scrivener. And then what I do is I call it book math. So I say, okay, I'm writing a story that I think in the first draft I want to be 100K, for example. And then I say, if it's 100K and I write on average a 2K chapter, so it means that there are going to be 40 chapters. I don't actually know. Let's say right now, the story that I'm writing, I think like it's 80, I'm trying to find an 80K draft. It's about 2K per chapter. So it's about 40 chapters. And then I say, okay, so if I were to take 40 chapters and spread them across the 5% thing, in like their first 5%, there's going to be chapter one, and the next one, there's going to be chapter two and three. And like, I just basically have this template for myself. And this feels like super planning, but it's blank and it just says this types of things happen at this point of the story. So when I sit down and I write, I'm like, okay, I'm in chapter one. In chapter one, I need to introduce the character and doing the setup. So that's what I'm doing. And then like in chapter three, it's in the part where I need to put inciting incident if I haven't already put it. So I put that there. But I tend to actually pants what I'm writing. On some chapters, I do a thing which we talked about, the scene. I do the goal, conflict, disaster, reaction, dilemma, and decision. And I don't always have all of them for each chapter, but if I know some of them for the chapter on Scrivener, you can put them on the cork board before. So I'll put those there. And a lot of times, like, I don't know what actually will happen, but I'm like, ooh, okay, so her goal as she's entering the scene is going to be she needs to sign the contract, for example. So, and sometimes I know all of them and sometimes I don't. So this could, like, this is the most planning that I do. But sometimes I open it up and I'm like, I really do not know what the goal is. I really do not know what is going to happen. And it usually tends to be the times where I'm either procrastinating more or I'm going to be agonizing. And I find myself with this white page syndrome where I'm like, well, I technically know what happened up to this point. Why don't I just sit down and just like pants it? And I'm usually going to probably spend half an hour to an hour. It's like, no, let me figure it out, blah, blah, blah. But at some point, if I'm like, okay, I have not figured it out, I'm like, I am a pantser. My heart. I started as a pantser. Just forget about it.
Yeah,
Just don't look at anything.
yeah,
Just sit and write. And that's what I do.
that's great.
So again, there's no one answer. It's just
Yeah.
like I like structure, but sometimes structure is not working and pantsing is
Mhm.
fine. Because
Yeah,
remember, draft one is just a starter. You're gonna
yeah,
change a lot of things.
yeah,
It's not written in stone.
yeah, that's great. So Phyllis has a big resource tip to share at the end. We're almost there, but I have a bonus tip. And yes, and my bonus tip is celebrate.
Oh, yes.
Totally celebrate. When you're done with your writing session, celebrate. It is so important. It's how we get stronger as writers. It's how we like learn also how to self soothe, or but more than soothe, I guess self be in support of ourselves. I feel like this is a broad, big statement, but I've been realizing, I woke up this morning realizing how much we tend to abandon ourselves. You know, we're so hard on ourselves. And this is very much, of course, from life experience. My own experience is like, oh, so for XYZ reasons, I didn't quite learn how to uh, go, wait, wow, Beth, good job. I mean, I already had a lot of self-confidence, but there was still a big part of me that was like criticizing myself at the end of the day. Oh, I didn't do this and I didn't do that and blah, blah, blah. No, actually, look at all the amazing things I did today. And so with writing, this is what I've seen with writers is they're constantly comparing themselves to other people. Stop that. Compare yourself only to who you were yesterday or the day before or last year when you weren't even writing. So it is amazing that we get to write stories. And I just really want to encourage you to celebrate. What does celebration look like to you? For me, I do track. I use Toggle to just track my time and acknowledge, oh, I did copy edits today. Oh, I did first drafting today. Yay. Like to me, that's like seeing it in black and white. It's like reflecting. It's like looking in the mirror. Like I did it. And I do keep strong spreadsheets. Well, I used to keep a really detailed spreadsheet about word count when I was doing word count. I'm not right now because it stresses me out. So I do it in a way that is encouraging. Do what's encouraging for yourself. I really notice what I did, and I take a moment to really just go, wow, oh, how cool. And sometimes I'll reread my work. I'm like, oh, I just love that. I see my husband, who's a writer, he'll reread his work and he'll chuckle because his stuff is so funny. And he he makes himself so happy. And that's great. Acknowledge what you did, no matter how small. There's a part of us that is like a little toddler that needs that encouragement, right? We encourage little ones. So same with writing. Encourage yourself. Yay, we celebrate every little step the little one takes. So that's the kind of energy we want to come to our writing with joy. And it's just amazing. I think writing fiction is magic on some level. And so great. We've got several, oh my goodness. Phyllis is sharing us her tip because we're wrapping up at 30 minutes after. And then Gala will come to you. So she says, since you're both speculative fiction authors, you might be interested. World Sci-Fi Con in 2028 is down to one bid, Brisbane. I recommend getting a pre-support bid, really cheap, $36, which will have an additional cost to full attending. There are usually strong author panels and writing craft sessions in addition to the usual Worldcon fun. Oh my goodness. When I said pre-support, they do have a virtual option, so I bet that will be really popular. Brisbane. I would love to go to Brisbane, Australia. Thank you so much, Phyllis, for letting us know. Phyllis, I think you're the same Phyllis who's in my edit lab, right? I have a Phyllis and I'm thinking it's you. Just real quick, we have our edit lab this Wednesday where we look at 200 words for every author who wants to submit. We do live edits. We answer questions. I was saying I don't do a class. Well, I'm not teaching a class. I'm doing edit lab. Yep. Phyllis says, yep. Thank you, Phyllis. Submit your work if you'd like to be considered. I also be sending out an email to everyone about that. And that's our membership where you get editing tips because that's my jam. So what is your bonus tip?
First of all, I want to talk about the celebrate part too,
Yes,
because
yours
last
too.
year in August, we were talking to Milquia, who is a children's book illustrator,
Yes.
and that basically was one of her biggest tips. And I think that reel has been like maybe one of the most popular reels we've had. And she talks about, so it's somewhere on Instagram. Oh, we actually have a new Instagram now, Creative Entrepreneur Incubator. Spell entrepreneur correctly, because I never do. I feel like we need to do like one of those things where people get the domain names for all of the misspellings that
Yeah.
people can do for their title.
Yeah.
It's on our Instagram, and it definitely is on the YouTube somewhere. But she talks specifically about all of the different ways she celebrates, and she has a running list of all of the things and like little treats that she does, or bigger treats depending on the goal, because a lot of times we're just like, oh yeah, think about how much time. Hi, I'm like, I'm not gonna say that everybody does, but like I beat myself up, like, ooh, I didn't do this, I didn't do this, and in the self compassionate planning thing, we did that, and we're going to redo it again this quarter. The first thing I always tell people is, when you look at your goal, first write out everything that you actually did, everything that actually worked, because a lot of times when we do this goal type of planning, we're looking at it and we almost never reach 100% because there's almost always something happens, and we focus on, well, I didn't do this and I didn't do this, and like we're getting down on ourselves. So my thing is, reverse it and go and start, what are all the things that did work. And this is the same thing that I give people with writing. Like, one of the hugest tips that I have learned, do not remember from whom, not my original idea, is when you write your manuscript, you need to, especially when you're like between the developmental edit and the line edit, you read your manuscript completely with a green highlighter, and I usually print mine out at that point, and you only highlight everything that you love. You do not look at anything that you don't like. You do not make any notes. You only are highlighting everything that you love. Because if you focus on what you love and you're like, "Ooh, I love these things. I need to put more of those things you kind of are making your brain think about, oh, this is good, this is good, this is good, and your brain is going to be putting those things in. And to me, those are all part of that celebration. So have a list, because weirdly, our brain does not come up with, oh, how can I celebrate myself? But like flagellation, very easy. And do those things where you specifically focus only on good things. And just in that sitting, you're not even considering what didn't work, just
Mhm.
things only.
I love
Put
it.
your brain in that
Yeah.
space.
Yeah, little sidebar. I mean, the reason why we are so good at focusing on the negative is because we have to scan for it to make sure we run from the predator, right? It's our ancient body going, where's the danger? And I need to keep an eye out for it because I need to skedaddle and survive. So that's why our brains are so, so, so good at scanning for the negative and reinforcing, right? When we have loops in our mind of reinforcing the negative, it is hands down, it's a survival technique. Now, our modern world, we don't have to run from the predator, most of us. So learning how to reinforce the good, that's why we're focusing on celebration, is a new skill. It's a new human skill. We didn't evolve to regularly celebrate. I mean, maybe quarterly or, in the solstice and the equinox and all the quarter moons and et cetera, full moons. So there, I think celebration is in our genome, from an ancient time as well, but the negative predominates because it's a survival and we all want to survive.
Yeah.
So learning how to rewire our brain, how do we both be aware of potential danger and what trips us up as writers, and how do we reinforce our celebration muscle? It's just it's a rewiring. And I love your idea of the green highlighter. That is great. I'm going to pass that on to my edit lab people. So let's wrap it up for today. Today we talked about 3 accountability tips, we talked about community, talked about a doable, quantifiable session goal, we talked about your story goal, and we gave the bonus tip of celebrate to reinforce all the learning. So I think that's it. Is there any last words, Gala, before we wrap up for today?
No, this again, I really love when everybody shows up. I hope for those who didn't can watch the recording, but we were just talking before we went live with Beth how much we enjoy the sessions. So I hope you also get something out of this because we both definitely do. We love sharing advice. We love teaching. I think we're teachers at heart, and you cannot get away from this. And we know so much, and we want to be able to share it with everyone. And I always talk about it like note gatekeeping is a big thing for me because I want for everybody to be able to learn of those things, no matter, the budget or whatever. So this is one of the ways I'm trying to contribute to the world so that you guys get to experience this and learn and hopefully get inspired every week, a little dose of inspiration, hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. And I just want to thank everyone who came and participated. Uh, be sure to check out Gala's class, check out my edit lab. And my final remarks for writers, I so love reading stories. I love reading your stories. Please continue with your story. Please get your stories out into the world. I am just an avid consumer, and so are a whole lot of other people. So it's for the happy readers that we write our books. And so thank you everyone for coming. We're going to be here next week with a new topic. If you have something you would like us to talk about, be sure to drop a note. You'll be able to comment on this. It's going to go live very shortly. I mean, published very shortly. So happy to see all of you. Happy writing, and we'll see you next time. Bye. And yay.